You ready?
No, tiny. Hopefully.
No. How do you know they're for us?
We're like 4 copies.
You better ask.
They might,
We have these?
Russell, sure. Send one this way. Thank you.
Are they the same thing? Thank you.
Sorry. I'm not paying attention. Oh, no. I don't know who made this, but it's.
Okay, everybody ready? All right, I'll bring us to order.
Normal, Jameson,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Motion to approve the agenda?
Second?
Jameson,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, there's no one signed up for the public forum, but let me ask, is there anyone that wants to say anything that's not on the agenda here before we get going? All right, first item is Resolution 2025-48, recognizing 5 years and 8 months of service by Scott Brandt on the Granger City Council. Any discussion we need for that? Otherwise, we can hear a motion.
Motion to approve resolution 2025-48.
Second.
Stock,
Yes.
Jameson,
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
All right, then Resolution 2025-49, recognizing Rob's 8 years of service. So Rob, thanks a lot. I know you've been here the whole time I've been here, so done a lot for the city. Obviously, with the EMS and fire too, you tried to get away, but we kept bringing you back there as well. So just can't thank you enough for all the service you've done for the community. So that's all I have to say. Anything else from the council?
Thank you, Rob, for teaching me in my short time here and helping me get my feet under me. So, make a motion to approve resolution 2025-49.
Second.
Jameson,
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
All right, and we'll go to 2550, 4 years of service by Jeremy Danielson. Jeremy, again, can't thank you enough. You put a lot of time and effort into this. I know personally, you've never taken an action. I didn't think that was in the best interest of the taxpayers, and worked hard and hit the ground running. So thanks for all you did as well.
Thank you, Tony.
Yeah, I second that. Sticking with your convictions, bringing some passion, asking some questions, and not letting up until you get answers. Good stuff.
Thank you.
Run along with it. Thanks for dragging me into it.
Yeah.
An eye opener.
My pleasure. I look forward to your next couple years.
Now that you're bailing on me.
I'll make that motion to approve resolution 2025-50.
Like,
okay, Stock,
Yes.
Right.
yes.
Jameson,
Yes.
Good. All right. Vintage Road Coffee Company, Ordinance 438. So last month we had the first reading of the ordinance setting some certain short-term parking. Do we have to discuss anything on Vintage Road specifically? I know this short-term parking is not for her per se, but it's just short-term parking for the business district.
In those spaces.
In those spaces in front of that property. But,
And it adjust the ordinance last month was for 15 minutes, so I adjusted it to 30 for this one for our discussions.
okay.
Yeah, let's communicate on that, we'll make sure we get those times ordered.
Well, first of all, did the council hear anything from the community? No. I heard nothing from the community as well. Okay.
We
Okay,
did have some issues with parking and snow removal and people staying there, so having those signs located will be needed. Bill,
Okay, do we need a,
so this is our second reading officially, so when you need a motion and approval, and then depending on what the council wants to do, you could waive the third reading, or you could leave it till next month.
Parking sign.
two, no one's said anything so far.
I think we're okay.
So I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 438, amending the code of ordinances to provide for certain short-term parking zones. And do I need to do a separate waive?
Yeah.
I'll second that one.
Okay, Son,
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes.
Kraft,
Yes.
Make a motion to waive the third reading on that.
Second.
Cesar,
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes.
Kraft.
Yes.
Okay, Bob, you're up.
Jeremy's last act was to tell me I'm not 30 minutes.
He gave you 30?
I'll assume that was a short-term
Not to
parking.
exceed.
Not to exceed, okay.
I don't get less than the short-term parking.
It is 7:05, time is going.
Yeah, clock's ticking.
We turned Bob's spots in the short-term parking.
Yeah, I'm short-term parking. East annexation phase 2 has been filed with City Development Board after a little hiccup. It will be on their January agenda. So typically it's I would guess it'll go through, it's a 100% voluntary in the urbanized area. Typically, if there's no hassle, it'll get approved, so that'll be approved in January, and then it's got to go through the waiting period, but it'll be effective eventually, probably end of February, but it'll be approved in January.
Will there be further action here after they act?
Right, no. So everything that the city has, the council has done, needs to do is done, so the last step we have to do is just get the city development board to approve it. Because we have the moratorium agreement with Johnston, they can't really come in and complain like they did the last time we were there. So we'll figure out how we're gonna present it, but I don't see that's an issue with it too. The water tower project, we have paid estimate number 11, is where we are on the water tower. The tower's essentially done. They gotta wait to start up. They don't have power to it yet. They're finally got to sign off on power will get there. They gotta get the coordination of the controls between the booster station and the tower. And earlier today, Kirk and Aaron and I met, and Aaron would prefer that we get the tower all ready to go, but we don't actually start it up in the winter. The reason is that it's gonna take a little while to figure out how to get everything to make sure it's all synchronized, because the water plant decides when to come on based on the tower by City Hall. The tower, the booster station that serves the new tower comes on based on that level. We need to make sure everybody's comfortable with how all that sequences. Aaron would prefer not to do that in the dead of winter in case something went wrong. We wouldn't have 100,000 gallons of icicles hanging on someplace. So
We're not using winter as our lowest.
yeah, we actually are overstored in the winter, so. And turning that tower over in the winter is gonna be a challenge, even though it's got a mixer in it. So I think the consensus was we'll get it all ready to go. If we have to put it in service, we can put it in service, but we're gonna hold off just because I think Public Works feels more comfortable that it's a little warmer above freezing when we put it in service. So we'll have one or two, we won't close the project out for a little while, but this is essentially the last big estimate on the project. So it's P&K recommended, I reviewed it, and would recommend the council approve it.
Do you have much communication with McGuire?
I don't have any direct communication.
We've met a couple times that door, the base has been left open.
Yeah, that's bent.
Yeah, it is.
We notify them.
Yeah, they're aware of
Okay,
it.
cool.
They have to fix it before we accept it.
Okay, cool.
For protocol, I'm not direct because Mr. Kim is the engineer on the project. I've not reached out directly to McGuire, so I've always gone back to,
As long as they know.
they're aware of
I
it.
thought we wanted to
They
leverage
were
something
notified
fun.
yesterday, it was met,
Let them know we wouldn't accept it.
Cool.
and they've been notified, so. So the action tonight would be approve estimate number 11.
Any questions?
Discussion or questions?
No.
All right.
Make a motion to approve partial payment estimate number 11 for the water tower project in the amount of $33,259.50 to Wire Iron Inc.
Second.
Okay, Dennison?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
Sycamore Street project, they've got it paved up to just the south edge of the roundabout. They got part of the wings on the roundabout. Everything's back open now. Some of the property owners wanted gravel through the winter. Some wanted it paved, so Sternquist honored those requests. We've opened the road now to the north of the winter now. They've ordered the chevrons around the roundabout, around the roundabout. So those should begin this week or early next week. We're gonna try to keep the road open all winter. Story Construction, working on the school, has requested that the workers be able to access the south parking lot coming up Sycamore. We told Story that they need to, all their heavy trucks, deliveries need to continue to come in from the north end. We don't really want all that traffic zipping up. And so the instructions we've given to Story is that if we can get the trucks, keep the trucks north and the workers can work the south. If that works and we can keep the road in decent shape through the winter, we need it. What we need now is some really cold weather to drive, get some good frost, get a base in it. None of this warm weather, snow, mush under the rock. It's just what. So we just need, the snow's off now, we just need we need about a week of 5 below zero to set about 3 feet of frost. So, I don't know, but none of the rest of you want it, but that's what I need right now, right up there. The backup is if we do have problems with trucks tearing it up, we told the school contractor that we are going to do a hard closure. And a hard closure doesn't mean barricades that people can move. That means like Jersey barriers. So there's no. So we don't want to do that. We decided not to leave up any local traffic because that just messes up snow plowing and people focus. So we're going to run with what we've got for right now. Sternquist is aware they've got to come back, and they obviously have to finish in the spring. We're still in plenty good shape to get out of those schools ready to go in August. With the snow, the end of November didn't help us at all. Typically, if you drive around the metro, you'll see a lot of projects that didn't get done. Because right now, based on what we've had for the last 10 or 15 years, contractors assume that they can work on street projects through the middle, almost up to Christmas, not Thanksgiving. So a lot of people got caught. But with the July and all the utility conflicts, we've got what we're going to get done. So there is partial payment estimate number $760,060.13. That's primarily the paving that was done south of the roundabout. So we would recommend that be approved. There's a few odds and ends out there that are kind of hanging out on the project. We'll clean those up over the winter so we don't have to deal with those. We'll get those taken care of. Don't anticipate there'll be a payment estimate for any new work until spring now at this point. There's a couple of odds and ends that we haven't cleaned up in payment estimates, so there may be a small estimate sometime during the winter associated with a change order to clean up a bunch of little stuff that doesn't amount to much. So I don't think we'll have much now until probably April-ish.
That's good. Make a motion to approve partial payment estimate number 7 for the Sycamore Street Improvement Project in the amount of $160,060.13 to Sternquist Construction Incorporated.
Second.
Okay, Scott?
Yes.
Dennison?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
The next item is the southeast area infrastructure improvements. You remember, this is the project that's associated with Beaver Creek Estates, formerly the Knolls. They're still talking about wanting to get cranking in the spring. I've been in communication with their engineer. I anticipate we'll see the construction plans sometime in the next week. And then we get going, and then we'll start building houses in the fall of 2026. We've got several improvements we've got to build. We've got the lift station, we've got the trunk sewer, we've got the force main, we've got the water main, and we've got whatever we're going to do for street improvements. The water main we can build at any time, but there's no sense in building it through the winter. So we'll bid that later this winter. The force main and the trunk sewer go outside of the city, and we're still working with Polk County on the extraterritorial urban renewal. We're waiting for an agreement for them for us to assume the operational responsibility for the road. So we can't really do anything when we award the contract. We can't use the urban renewal fund, so we can't do that. Same with the road. The longest construction period of all of the projects is the lift station, which is probably a better part of a year. So the plan right now is we carved off the lift station, we'll bid the lift station in January. And that will give us pretty much all of next year to get that built. We'll have to come behind that with the rest of the improvements. But if we waited on the lift station until we resolve the issue with Polk County, we're gonna miss what the schedule is that the developer wants. We can carve the two apart. There's a demarcation line 50 feet west of the lift station, so they'll stub the sewer out so that when the sewer force main contractor comes in, they're not gonna mess with the lift station. So this is, sometimes you build them together, sometimes you build them separate. In this particular case, we're proposing to build them separately. We're bringing tonight with the idea that, we'll bid it in January, on about the 21st, I think. We will need, and I know that most of you won't be here, but we do need to have a special meeting. We've got it set for the 28th of January for the public hearing and award of contract. That way, by the end of January, we'll have that contract going. That gives them a really good shot of getting it done by December. So that's the plan, and then we'll have to come on behind that with the other contracts. But, so the resolution you have tonight is basically order construction, set the date of hearing and letting. Now, you can always bail out if something happens, but at least this starts the administrative process.
Questions from the council?
Do we need to?
That hearing date was the January 28th, 6 p.m. Have you talked to anybody on that, Kurt?
It was that.
Seven, okay. Okay.
If we have to amend, we won't actually publish that notice, because that notice is 4 to 20 days. So we won't actually publish that notice for quite a while. So if the new council can't do that, we still would have the opportunity to change that before we publish the notice. And then we can change.
Still need it.
Yeah, so we got a backup plan. And we can change the public, we won't change the bid opening, that'll be on the 21st. We can change the public hearing if we had to, and we've got probably till about the time of the January council meeting, so.
Yeah, if we know by January 16th, we can publish by January 22nd.
Which means that
Which means the closer to 4 days.
So I think we got a little flexibility in there, but we need to get going to get it out on the street and get it bid. A little longer bidding schedule than we would normally do, but we've got the year-end holidays. Contractors have a tendency to want to focus on other things over the last couple of weeks of December, so we're giving them a chance to take a look at it early, and then most of the bidding will occur in January. So, but if we wait till the January meeting, then we're just another month behind.
Any questions, discussion?
Make a motion to approve resolution 2025-52, ordering construction of the southeast lift station project and fixing a date for hearing thereon.
Second.
Wait, Dennison?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Now we get into the meat and potatoes of the discussion.
17.
We've received a draft of the interchange study from Snyder and Associates, and what they're essentially saying is that they're supporting the idea of modifying the 17 interchange to a full diamond interchange. So there'd be ramps in all 4 quadrants. It'll actually tighten it up a little bit. And then the connection down to 200 second, depending whether they're in Dallas or Polk County. They've also included in that recommendation in their report a second phase, which is that double interchange that for those of you with the open house, would have an interchange at 102nd. We've asked them to provide a little detail on that, and one of the problems with that is that with the elevation rise, to build that interchange, by the time they swing 102nd south to get it to go back up on the bridge over 121, all of the commercial ground in Beaver Creek Estates and all of the Myers property north of the creek is essentially turned into a relocated road. Because the road has to shift south, it has to be built up, and elevation-wise, can't access it very well because it's not at the elevation, the ground elevation. It makes it nearly impossible to get access to the church property and the Etching property to the east. They'd have to come around the backside of the church property. So we go, the Beaver Creek Estates developers are not really in favor of it. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars. And it leaves them with, what do? You tell them they can't develop because we might build this in 20 years? Or if they build it, then it's going to be in the way. We've also met with Hope K Properties, who owns the property on the north. And they're not a fan of the interchange. They're comfortable with access on 106th. They'd like to have the right, at least the right in, right out, at least the right in, most of the traffic they anticipate will be coming from the So they don't have a lot of, they're not really thrilled about losing a whole bunch of their property for an interchange. So right now, what it is that we just don't see a lot of support within the property owners and at the staff level for that long-term secondary interchange, because it's going to be probably 20, 25 years before it gets built, and it just leaves everybody in the hook.
What's your concept of what that would cost?
My guess is that probably the $30, $40 million.
Yeah, so
$8, so even more.
yeah, so on a financial responsibility model, why would we spend $30 million and take up usable ground to put in an interchange? So I'm gonna, for the new council, and I'm gonna take a little bit of time to give a short. I'm gonna give a short history. So because I'm getting 4 years ago, we were apprised of some of the meetings that were occurring coming out of Grimes, Highway 41 discussions all the way to 17. There were meetings being held by DOT, Polk County, Johnston, and then also Grimes. All these decisions that the public is seeing now along 141, we were not at the table for. They did hold informational meetings and said that we could come, but if you looked at the database of who received the information, City Hall got a cursory email that there would be a meeting, but we weren't involved in all this discussion, so we didn't know what the meeting was. So I'm going to just paraphrase real quick how we've been involved. So we approached them, talked about our needs, talked about the concept of 121st. During all this time, we had the city and staff and myself had met many of the retirees in town, and I say retirees because the majority of the land that we're annexing are the retirees in town who asked that their farms be included into this annexation. So we did that. Met that with some objection, but we set the stage early about 4 years ago that this will be, to the east, will be a part of Granger. So we're finishing up the annexation now. It's been submitted to the State City Development Board. But during that time, DOT did a $50,000 study, and I forget who did it, but they did a
Howard R. Green.
Howard R. Green did a $50,000 study out on 141. Nothing came of it. We then weren't getting the traction that we felt we needed, so we hired a lobbyist, and we started working with state legislators, probably about a year and a half worth. And we spent, between engineering work and lobbying work, we probably spent another $50,000 fighting that and trying to get traction. What we did receive is, during those conversations, we found out that DOT didn't have a plan for the free right turn onto 17 off of 141, and we had no way to get back to town unless you went into E-Bank's parking lot, did a U-turn, and then came back. So we did receive, and we asked for it, we didn't design it, but we did ask for that left turn that now has the infamous stop sign. We asked for a way to get back to town. So we're not gonna 100% complain about that. I know there's some objection and it's safety. We would agree that it's not 100% safe, but we were a party of trying to get a mechanism to get back east. Then we started looking at, we need a way to get Highway 17 down to 102nd because we have to have immediate access, because we do have property down there that is in development-friendly hands. We do need to get infrastructure down there. If we get infrastructure down there, we can develop the east side. So that's where we're at now. So that's about a $60,000 study. So $50,000, $50,000, and a $60,000 study that now is looking at the area. So the map that Bob has presented to you
Which didn't cost you anything, by the way.
I don't know about that.
is a what if concept. They're closing access all along 141, turning it into, and I'm saying this for the public of whoever might be watching or goes and watches this later, that this is an expressway. Well, where's there another expressway that's 2 miles long in the state of Iowa? So they built a new road off of 415 going north. We now have, with 121st closing, we have no more access until you get to Highway 17. We have developers, and we just submitted annexation for over 800 acres on the east side of Granger. That is 100% voluntary, and we have developers on the south side of that property ready to develop. So what the map is a what if. I don't think, and Council, and Mayor, and I'm saying this in front of the future mayor and council members, I don't see us spending 10, 20, 30, $40 million to get an interchange. By the time you back the road up to get up and over, you've taken up all the usable development ground. There's just no return on your investment. So, and I'll be quiet so Bob can.
And by the way, they won't let us do it even if we had the $30 million today, they probably wouldn't let us do it.
Right.
Because the traffic volume doesn't justify it.
So we feel on the south side, if the interchange is taken down to 102nd, there's a fairly easy route to get to that side of town. Now, is it what we wanted? No, but they're not going to give us a de-acceleration lane right in front of the acceleration lane to head back to Grimes. So we're probably not going to get a ride in at the Orchard and back to your place. We're probably not going to get that. If we dump 17 down to 102nd, we think we could live if that road were a cul-de-sac, because you have immediate access off 17 to get to 102nd. The piece that we want to assure that we have is we have to have some access at 102nd to get north.
That's that yellow line, right?
Correct. So Bob put as this gets out into the public, I want to give you a couple. The black line on the right, that's the new road DOT just paid for going up Christensen's farm, starting in Johnston's territory in Williamville. The yellow line heading at 102nd is a what if, and we're doing this so that we can start showing our hand. Doesn't mean that's where it would go. Bob followed the high ridges, but we know that at some future point, 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road, there's going to be some kind of development happening in that area. Then Bob connected Twin Eagles. We also know west of us, that Xavier, we're not saying, we don't want to immediately say that the Xavier Sycamore intersection will be closed. But what we do want the public to know, they're not going to give us another set of lights. So we've got lights at 190th. They're not going to give us a set of lights at Sycamore and Xavier out in front of Casey's and Bridge Motors. As traffic increases, if there's a major accident there, we as the city planning want to make sure we have some type, what does that access look like in case DOT comes and says, you have to close that, there have been too many accidents.
Can we fund lights at some point as a city?
We can still fight that, but that's been a part of that lobbying effort.
We can fund them, they won't let us put them on.
Yeah. We tried it on 17 and ended up with a
That
roundabout.
was originally what I wanted on 102nd. Stoplights. It's just a non-starter.
So what we do know is, we do know that at some point, and we've talked to the Benevetti family, if at some point they choose to develop that farm, there very likely could be a road that, through the development, that goes from Xavier across the back of Willis Auto that connects with 190th. No plans to do that soon. That's just if someone comes to the table, there's already a little bit of a design that says, here's what we're going to do. So when you look at the map, the hard things are the black line that DOT paid for a road going up 415. We know that we need the interchange at 17 to go down to 102nd, and we know that we need access north at 102nd.
A couple of things to add to this. We did meet with Hope K, who owns the property on the north side. And they are willing to, when they develop, they said they would be willing to work with the city on putting in some of those improvements with a reimbursement type agreement. So we wouldn't necessarily have to upfront the money. So, and to pull it up, and they're comfortable with what they're proposing, kind of the orange and yellow, pulling traffic, and we needed to offer 110. We're showing we'd like to keep the right in, right out, or as much of the right in, right out as we can on the north side.
Bob, what's the orange, 102nd's already there. So
Those are just routes.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, they're not new things, they're just
Okay,
routes.
gotcha. Yep. Existing.
And actually, 106 is here, they probably need some work, and we're going to use it, so. So we think that, this area, the developer thinks that this kind of traffic pattern, they'd be comfortable with developing, we don't know when, but they said they'd be comfortable understanding that 110th and 106th would be the way. We wanted to show getting traffic up to 110th so that we come back through the roundabout and get over the fairway and then the school and everything else. We're also, and I know there's some discussion about the Reeder property in the shorter term, trying to get a connection from Commerce to get down to have a second way out of Twin Eagles, to get that up to 110. So this area, we're actually in discussions with Reeder about, is there something we can do to make that happen? And, Reeder is also agreeable, at some point, I think he has this vision of owning more property. But, some of this connection, we would prefer to probably take the north-south traffic and take it up to 110th and not wander it back around through, but still leave the out for Twin Eagles. Down here off east of Twin Eagles on the Fitzsimmons property, we're showing it connections. Who knows if that's going to happen. But what we're trying to do is just for traffic pattern and topography, we don't want to encourage a lot of the traffic that might be generated over here to zip back through Twin Eagles. So we're trying to make a path, but we're trying to make that path sufficiently tortuous that there are better ways to go.
We don't want more heading to 17 through Twin Eagles.
No.
And we'll, for the new council and for Clint, we're negotiating with Reeder right now, and Todd Reeder owns this, where the water tower land is up there. We are negotiating with him right now. How does the community participate to get that road connected faster than what he's doing it, so that we have another way out of Twin Eagles north?
And then we're also showing at some point if the master property, again, who knows what, show that as a connection, again, another crossing with 17. You know, the backage road over here behind the car dealership, you know, and something if were to, you know, there would be more traffic on roads. That's really more of a backup in the event that something were to happen at some point to the Xavier interchange, which we don't control. But where we really want to go out of this thing is we want to sit down with the DOT, and I think it would be the best interest of the city to negotiate what they call an access agreement, which means that we agree to certain things and they agree to certain things. So that way, for example, if the access agreement has trigger points when something had happened, they can't just come out and say, oh, by the way, we're going to take the crossover at Xavier out because there was, you know, we had an accident. They can't just do what they did at 102nd. If it's in an agreement, there's trigger points of what we can do and what they can. We agree to certain things, they agree to certain things, and both sides are bound by it. And I think that rather than have the uncertainty, you know, if we can get an agreement that says this will be what our access is, so we have certainty, we can't change it, they can't change it without both sides agreeing. I think at least at that point, we're less at risk for something to come along and say, oh, by the way, we're going to change something. Because right now, we don't have a whole lot of control. So I think that, you know, out of the interchange study, we want to support the interchange component of it, because that's really important. And then we want to sit down and have a conversation with the DOT about access agreement. The reason this plays into it is the local road network is a component of the access agreement. We don't know what's in it, but we know that Johnston and the DOT are negotiating a similar concept over in 415 Town Road, Town Drive there.
Into land they won't get?
So, I mean, we don't know we have no idea. It isn't relevant what's in it. We just know that the DOT has expressed the willingness to sit down and talk about the 141 local road interconnection access, so that, you know, for example, that maybe this doesn't happen until something else happens. And those trigger points can be local roads that are not included in the DOT corridor. So for example, maybe something doesn't happen until we have a better connection back on 106 is approved, or something along that line. I don't want to presuppose what that might look like. But what we're trying to do is to say, this is a starting point to take the interchange study. We want to move the first component of that along, basically kind of dump on the second component of it. So we don't really want that. But we really do want to sit down and have a discussion about an access agreement. And in prior meetings with the DOT, they had suggested that that would be something that would be of value. They originally suggested it for east of 17. My comment is that if we're going to do something east of 17, let's not leave out west of 17, because at some point they can turn their focus on west of 17 and decide, okay, we're going to take out a bunch of stuff like we did east, and we don't want to be left on out to dry. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So this is conceptual. Don't take this as what's going to happen. This is just sort of a concept plan of how we could develop a network that didn't rely on that second interchange component at 102nd, because from a cost perspective and an uncertainty perspective, it just leaves us in a bad position, and the property owners adjoining it are not supportive of it.
Questions, comments, or anything?
What's the next step to connect in the study process to connect 17 to 102nd? What does that look like now that the study is done?
The study needs to be submitted to the DOT for them to review and approve. And then parallel with that, we want to start this access agreement. And then coming out of that, then we'll have to decide whatever comments we get back from the DOT. There's probably the next step would be looking at more detail on the interchange, doing some of the environmental work, getting the cost estimate developed, getting it into their project programming. Even though they may not pay for it, it still has to go through them, it still has to be programmed. And there's just kind of this informal rule of thumb. This may sound like a lot of money, but projects up to $10 million are not that difficult to get put into their program. Projects that get really big are harder to get into the program. So what you want to do, if you want to move this along, we'd like to keep this first project, the interchange, to a cost where if we can come up with a way to pay for it from various different sources, that would be the kind of thing that the DOT would be willing to put in a 5-year program and wouldn't cause all kinds of havoc because it's just like any other Tom, Dick, and Harry road project throughout the state. $10 million for them is like, do I really want to lean over and pick up that penny? Jeez. Other than that, it's like they get really fussy. So that's kind of where we're at. We want to we want to move the thing forward, but we also wanted to make sure that the council is on board with the idea that we're not wholeheartedly supporting that second phase. We would rather put our focus, if we have to spend money, we would rather make sure we've got a good, solid local support network. Because remember, even if we have an interchange, we still have to build all these local roads. Because the interchange without the local roads doesn't get you anywhere. And, so we still want to be able to have people get to and from the city, and we want to have some connectivity. We don't want to have East Granger and West Granger any more than we already have. So we want to be able to get people, connectivity and not have them, oh, I'm in Granger, but the only place I can go is Grimes because I can't get from where I live to Granger.
All right, sounds good. Good to go forward then? Yep. You present?
You guys live down there, have been talking to Bob and I a lot. Feedback?
Sounds good. I like the what he came up with. I mean, on a EMS standpoint, we can get from the station to that side of town quick. As of right now, like Tuesday I was on call and there was no way I was getting to the station anytime fast because now since they took out the intersection, I can't just go on gravel for a minute and pop over and speed over the station, and the whole county was ice.
Yeah.
So I had to drive 10 mile an hour. So this is just an emergency standpoint. That's pretty cool.
I know it impacts you guys, you're down there. So.
And, this plays into some of the things we need to talk about too, is like, given what we're doing right now with the Beaver Creek Estates, with their focus on the residential and not necessarily meeting on the commercial, do we want to really, how far do we want to, where do we want to put our money for upgrading the road? Should we put it more focused to the west in anticipation that we would have a good paved road from the 17 over to the development, as opposed to putting the money in over to doing the cul-de-sac? So maybe we need to kind of think a little bit about where we want to go with some of that.
To do Xavier South over to this development versus doing 102nd to the second tier. We need to have that discussion. Are we going to look at doing something with Xavier to get to this development rather than putting our money in 102nd back west?
That's what we should do.
Because it may just end in a cul-de-sac eventually anyway.
Yeah, they're gonna enter this new development, will be entering from the west. So just west of Russell and Angela's house. So are we better off to reconsider, do we go invest in Xavier in 200?
Or at least as much of it as we can.
It's a lot more road.
Right.
Yeah,
I think
I'm
a
just
lot
saying-
of us on 102nd aren't using that like stop sign as much since there's no turn lane. So I think the west would make more sense because that's where we're coming.
If we can hold it together. I know Xavier gets pretty wet, gets pretty slushy.
So, I mean,
Flat-headed traffic.
and we may not be able to get it all in this first bite of the apple, but at least, my only point is that maybe we need to rethink about where we're, how we do things. Maybe we put, if there's no commercial development right away, maybe doing that culvert, which isn't critical to the residential side. Maybe we put that off and take those resources and put it into improving 102nd, 200, and Xavier getting back up to the 141 that way in anticipation of the interchange. But, so, we don't know where that's gonna go, but I think we need to kind of at least have a good solid conversation about why are we heading, what's the direction we were originally heading, the direction we should be going now that we have Beaver Creek Estates is more well-defined. They're comfortable with the high-end residential accessing from the west. They got some ideas, but nothing concrete for the commercial. So I just raising the thing that maybe we just need to make sure we've got our eyes open and we're putting our money where it's the best return on investment.
Okay, good. Thanks, Bob.
Now I'm taking out the time.
I think you're pretty good.
Anything for Bob? Anything else?
No, thank you, Bob. You've been a wealth of knowledge for us.
I didn't see my resolution get a go.
You're not.
When you first became our city engineer, we bought an old scroll, so you're not gonna have a resolution one, but
Let's see, what was that about the year you were born?
Fountain pen, yeah.
Even heart surgery, I don't think you took a day off.
All right, Kurt, you're up.
Public safety building, so we've been having discussions, have some interest both from leadership and from all of staff, our EMS, police, to find a solution. We have had and are still waiting to get a couple of them back, waiting on some private companies that do this type of thing to just give us some feedback on where they're seeing pricing and options. So probably ought to look at putting, I don't know if we want to put a formal group together, or if we want to do that once the new council and mayor come on board, or if we want to do that tonight and appoint a group. But we need to, what I would like to do is the second phase of this piece, I don't want it to hold up the public safety building, but we're talking with the Granger Economic Development Group, and I want to within the city, is there are Main Street program funds out there. We should also couple our move, if we do something, we've discussed City Hall at some point, fire station and City Hall and the police trailer being gone. Once there is a public safety building built, and if it is designed and we do happen to go with it, which we may or we may not, but if City Hall is left, we should talk about how do you revamp downtown back into a Main Street. And one of the methods to accomplish that is we've talked about selling the building that we have for X amount of dollars, incentivize someone to rebuild, and so one of the conditions of selling it is they need to tear it down. Or we would do some type of financial incentive through tax increment financing to perhaps incentivize someone to build a fourplex or something back and turn it into Main Street. So we need to be looking at the public safety building. We do have the lot, the bond has passed. We haven't aggressively gone after building that because we initially made the decision if we're going to spend money, let's spend money currently on projects that are going to have a return for us so that we can increase the tax base. We do know that through bonding, we should have some bonding capacity freed up within 2 years as some things are being paid off, that we could just plug something right back in. Not saying we need to wait 2 years, but we do need to get a plan put together and see how we can make that fit. The second phase of that is, do we sell City Hall? And any of those proceeds could go back into, they could, if council chose, it could go back in towards the public safety building. But part of that project should be revamping the downtown area. So State Street, Main Street, Broadway, I'm looking at talking to the Economic Development Group, and then with the council and mayor, do we put a group together for Main Street reconstruction that also maybe we turn some of that money towards the public safety building if the City Hall were to sell.
Yeah, I'd recommend a couple of the council probably next meeting, set up a committee with one or two of you and
we have
You
to
know,
wait?
whether it's Joe or,
I think we should get the ball, at least the committee rolling. I mean, we've talked about this for a couple of years. I don't think putting a committee together is stepping on anybody's toes. You know, I mean, we got guys that are here, and want to be on the committee.
Yeah, the main thing is get you up to speed, some of the details. We do have a design, whether we go forward with that or not. I leave that up to the group, but,
Rob, are you willing to be a part of that committee?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, those guys, obviously by position, I think should be on it as well. But it would be helpful to have at least two. We can have two council, all right? We can have three, we can have two.
we have to.
This guy's pretty sharp too.
What's the timeline of this committee? Is this like a month deal, or is this for the next 24 months?
In my
Yeah,
opinion, it need to figure out the design.
I would try to move in 90 days. Get a plan, what you want to build, what you think it might cost,
All
what steps you want to do.
If it's
And
90 days.
if it's not outrageous, you bid it.
Just copy your shop building.
Pretty much.
Any feedback? I mean, but, nice. Chris?
Okay.
Good?
You guys are not, we don't want to set you guys up to like something you're not in favor of. Everybody's in favor at least to proceed, right? Cool. So who wants to, sounds like we got one council member. I'm not, I'll be on it, but I'm not a council member.
So just put, sounds like Jared, you'll do it?
Yeah.
Okay, Jared and Chris will do it. They can be the council members of the committee, and then they can work with the department heads and you and Kirk and whoever else you want to bring in, but that's who you should start with, probably Joe and Tyler and Robin and Rob, and that's a 6-person committee, so let's just motion that, and then you guys can get rolling.
Do we need a motion for that, or is it?
Don't we have to motion committees?
Yeah, just double checking if it's mayor appointment, council, it's council action.
We haven't had a committee for a long time.
Just the finance committee. that's-
Don't merge committees, but this would be fun.
You can always make up some words.
Yeah, make some words up. Yours is really good.
I will make a motion to form a committee to put a short-term plan together for public safety building. Nominate Rob, Jared, Tyler, Robin, Chris, Kirk,
Joe.
and Joe to be initial members of that committee. Hopefully, we're producing a plan within less than 90 days before Jared has to start working again in the spring.
Second,
Yes.
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 All right, anything else on that? Any comments from you guys?
No, I mean, we're definitely flexible on, if we need to cut some costs on certain things, so. It doesn't need to be a Taj Mahal, so.
Yeah, that's probably the first meeting is what has to stay, what can go, and go from there. Okay, good. All right, Kirk, next one.
Potential noise ordinance, so, and then you may fill me in. Joe felt a little neutral about this, that we may have enough now on it, but we've had several instances where we have some extreme noise coming out of a couple vehicles. And a lot of complaints from the community, a lot of pushback from one of them that's doing it. And when it elevated to that point, I don't have a whole lot of sympathy, and we just need to enforcement. So I didn't know what the council's feel. Ben, you may
Yeah,
fill me in
so
on.
just generally, noise ordinances are difficult to enforce
Yeah.
without a decibel meter and somebody taking a reading at the moment it happens. Although they can be written around. One that I sent out to you guys, a couple people were talking about. If you look up Polk City noise ordinance, Polk City actually has a very extensive noise ordinance that does not include decibel readings. So that might be a place to look at if you're thinking of that and want to try to build something off of that. But it does often put law enforcement in a bit of a difficult spot of trying to prove up that the ordinance was broken, because it's kind of subjective. What's loud? I mean, you put a decibel in there, but then they have to be on site, or at the location to get the reading.
You saying Joe was indifferent on whether we need to change anything, or who?
He basically said the same thing, that
Yeah, like the parking thing, right? It's like, if he goes to enforce it, and, you know, the noise has got to kind of be going on.
Where did it come from, like, on the agenda? Why
What
is it-
disruption is occurring?
We have a particular individual and a particular vehicle that the residents can hear it from 141.
The vehicle's loud, or like the music inside the vehicle is loud?
The music inside the vehicle is extremely loud.
They have like subs and stuff in their cars.
They're,
Sounds like I'd like to take a ride.
they're defiant towards law enforcement, towards the neighbors, and we attempt very hard to be a good neighbor with all the citizens. This is to a point that the citizens are fed up, and I can't help but support their concern.
Well, that adds context. That's,
Then what kind of consequences would be normal for a noise ordinance?
So currently we have on the books.
What do we have currently?
Yep, pull it up right there. Currently we have in the public peace section of the ordinances under disorderly conduct, so 40.03 in the code. Noise is defined as straight from the Iowa Code, make loud and raucous noise in the vicinity of any residence or public building which causes unreasonable distress to the occupants thereof.
seems like it fits.
Like that?
It fits, but it's very vague to try to enforce.
Right.
Both
basically-
directions to try to enforce.
So if there's a public complaint, that would potentially qualify there.
Yeah, if there's a public complaint and Joe found that it was disorderly conduct or any of the officers, they could write a citation for it and then see if it's challenged for it. So that's straight from Iowa Code, that's what disorderly conduct, loud noise is.
But that's in our ordinance.
That's in the Granger City, yeah, chapter 40 of the Granger City Code of Ordinance.
So do we just need to enforce it?
I mean, I want to have a discussion. If it continues, I just want everyone to, do council and mayor to know that this is something we're dealing with, and it's not always easy to, the ordinances that we've looked up are not always clear, but this is something we're probably not going to back down from.
If it's disrupting our citizens, if it's shaking windows, and the offending person doesn't care that it's affecting our citizens, I think that's a problem that we need to address.
Correct.
I think I also read too that it's happening like in the middle of the night, like 1 o'clock in the morning, and waking people up.
That's not okay.
All right, tickets, let's go.
Yeah.
That sounds
So we don't normally bring this type of thing
Right, that's why
to
we're
discuss.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a,
Yeah, it needs to be enforced, sounds like.
the other, and we'll talk with Ben and talk with Joe, and if we need to, if there needs to be more enforcement, we'll bring it to the council. We are, at last meeting, we again talked about the time system. Tomorrow morning, Jared and I are meeting with Aaron to talk about public works, talk about a time system, talk about logging hours, so that as we as a community continue to grow, we start getting a painted picture with data, what those hours are, what those needs are, and then we'll look at, what does that time system look like for the system Christie's looking at, for the city clerk, and we'll look at, how we merge those. Then we'd have everybody going into a system. But the first focus is for Public Works, that we're logging hours, and whether that's snow removal, water plant, sewer plant. It'll take some work to define that, but we're meeting tomorrow to kind of start that. Also, going to have a discussion with Aaron tomorrow that we'll need to do once the new mayor and council are on board, is hold capital improvement sessions. What are those large capital expenditures? So we're looking at doing some type of Main Street program and Public Works and moving us out Public Works also needs to move off Main Street. They're in a brick building with no drains in it, no restrooms. Got equipment sitting uptown, so gotta look at what does the capital improvement plan look like for facilities. Aaron does have cold storage down there. At some point, he's gonna need a shop. So we'll look at, you know, what does that look like and how do you fund that?
Can I make one comment on that? For future council, mayor, just as you do that capital improvement planning and future spending planning, be aware and pay attention to what happens down at the Capitol in Des Moines this upcoming session. They are having a lot of roundtables and conversations on property tax reform at the state level that will limit a city's ability to raise revenue and raise taxes. And it will affect the city of Granger, so we need to be aware that there's going to be changes almost certainly, and we don't know what those are going to look like. So I would say be cautious about committing to big future expenses until that picture's a little more clear.
Yeah, I was gonna say something similar, which is with this many new people, it's probably good to get through the budget. And then work on the capital improvement plan, because you're gonna have a much better picture from the legislative session and from what you have for the next year to start having some of those discussions. But we do need a new capital improvement plan, but yeah, it's probably smart to wait till maybe April to start that.
In the gist of that, as we grow and you see more businesses, we're being capped on how much of that we can capture. So we are growing, we need to grow, we need to expand our tax base, but there is a cap on how much of that we can capture and how much of our budget we can expand. So there are some things we can do through some other creative financing that we do through tax increment financing that is separate from the general fund, but that general fund bucket is somewhat limited as we grow.
Kirk probably told you guys this too, but the Iowa League of Cities does a training for new people. You have to do that. You have to do it.
Why is Aaron, our public works, why is he never here? We have our police and we have our EMS, we have our Parks and Rec. He is never here.
He's here, Lona. We are having that discussion.
What I would say to that is this is my perspective, that someone needs to be at the water plant and test the water and sewer 365 days a year. So, and a lot of times that's 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. They're usually already working. So then you're talking about, they're here at this meeting, you're talking about an 18-hour day. Or, so from my perspective, they're gonna be getting water samples on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Day. I don't care that they're not here necessarily, but again, that's each council and mayor can kind of drive their expectations with their leadership group.
Yeah. On larger items, he is here. Part of
he's in budget stuff.
Like today, for instance, why he has someone that we're going to be hiring for his department. Those guys just spent 2 16-hour days pushing snow and then also working during the day. I know others in here also do that too. But they're covering weekends at the sewer plant, weekends at the water plant. There are times where I'm not asking him to have to be here because of some of those things.
All right, anything else, Kirk?
No.
All right, I want to get an IFID update.
Yeah, so I got 2 things, actually. One is, backing up real quick to item 7, the waiver of the third reading actually did not pass because we need 4 votes to pass the waiver.
So it's got to go to the next.
Yep, so
Got to go to the
Jody
meeting.
here.
Okay.
That
Mayor can't vote on
No. And the vacant seat counts as a seat towards 3/4. Yeah, and so then after the agenda was already out late, or earlier today, we got an update on the IPIB filing, which is that for various reasons, the staff attorney and the staff of the board didn't get completely through their response and review in time for it to be on the December IPIB agenda. So they are saying that it will likely should be on the January for final resolution, although the email that we got was positive towards the city not having violated any open meetings actions or anything like that. But, so that going further, we'll wait for the final staff report and review on IPID. That'll come in January now. We're hoping for December.
Something important that I became aware of about this topic that I want to share with the public before I'm done. Over the last several months, several FOIA requests, public information requests, and this IPIB complaint were filed by citizens of our town. And these are legitimate tools. FOIA requests and IPIB complaints are legitimate tools available under the Iowa Code that trigger the need for the city to investigate, respond, and required us to hire outside legal counsel to respond to those things. We've spent upwards of $12,000 on legal fees to respond to these FOIA requests and IPIB complaint. So far, that bill's not yet complete, so it's gonna be more than $12,000 of taxpayer money to respond to these complaints. So leave that. I just want to make the public aware of those resources that we're having to spend to respond to these issues.
Is the context of the complaint public record, or is that behind closed doors?
It has been. It was in a meeting packet.
Yeah, the complaint's been in a meeting packet, and it's public.
Our response too, I think.
And our response is public, yeah, it's all
Make sure all of our responses are public.
Both through the city of Granger and not together, everything is public. Yeah, there is no.
And it's, from what we're hearing, it's not founded. So it's a lot of money spent unnecessarily, perhaps. I guess I can say that.
Here's what I would recommend. It's always easier to sit down and talk to somebody than do this and waste taxpayer money. The FOIA complaints were after the EMS situation. And look, it's a legitimate thing under Iowa Code. I guess I'll just leave it at that. But I don't know that the cause was, I want information. I think the cause was, let's gum up the works and screw over people with the city as much as we feel we've been wrong, right? And, you know, you can have a feeling on that one way or the other. I do certainly, but bottom line is it's cost you guys a lot of money because we have to respond to it. We have to get attorneys to, I mean, we can't just sit up here as a council and mayor and Kirk and just let someone say we broke the law because we didn't. So, gotta defend ourselves.
What packet was that complaint in? I was looking for it at one point. I don't remember ever seeing the actual complaint.
It was probably September, and our response was maybe October, but that's 2 or 3 months off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's all in the last 90 days, I think.
It's, yeah, in the last couple months.
Is that available to the public?
Yep. All that's online.
I'll say before we get attorneys involved, it actually drains our limited staff resources too. So just, we ask a lot of Kirk, Christie, and the city staff, so we want their attention on the things that impact the greater community as much as possible as well, before we even get the attorneys involved in those invoices that we saw tonight. So just want to be transparent and sure everybody understands the impacts there.
All right, good. Anything else on that, Kirk? Anything else? Council, anything for Kirk? Yeah, good.
No, that's all.
Thank you.
All right, Public Works. So we have had an open position here for the better part of a year, probably. Might be more than a year by now. But I think we found somebody. So, Kirk, are you taking this one?
Yeah, so we have Joshua Woodward, which is from a community just up the road, potentially looking at moving to the community with the things that have occurred in the community with the new school and things. They're interested in moving, looking at moving closer this way and being involved. Has utility experience and certifications. We have had a couple people, new employees in this position, and this one is a seasoned employee, has some of the certifications. So we are excited and recommending the hire. I will say with the position and the items that we handle as a public works department with Aaron and the two guys that are currently there. We also have, and in adding this fourth one, we have 4 individuals that manage sewer, water, roads, parks, all along, any maintenance that works. So when this individual is hired, he's not hired only for sewer or water, but he's also hired for general maintenance and any roads, snow removal.
From a budget perspective, is his salary coming out of road use, water, sewer though?
Yeah.
I mean, are we using general fund for any of the salary?
I never did. I don't think I ever did before, it was always roads tax and the sewer.
Majority of these positions are all enterprise funds, so sewer, water, road use.
I certainly like the idea of getting somebody that's got some experience. I feel like we've trained some people, paid for their education, and maybe they've taken, opportunities somewhere else. Just the metro is tough to hire in any way, right? But, so I think seems like a good decision to get somebody who's got some experience that wants to be in the community and raise a family, right? So
this individual has certifications, also has CDL license, also was involved in doing GIS mapping. We're looking at, would we do that here with our engineers and map out our infrastructure? So it's a conversation we'll have.
Any other discussion from the council?
Yeah, could you address this earlier? My only request on the way out is tomorrow's meeting on the time tracking is we figure out how our team is spending their time so we can figure out how to best utilize them for their highest skill sets and not have these really skilled individuals sitting in mowers 40 hours a week or something like that. So the faster we can figure out that, the better. But I'd be supportive.
Yeah, I think that's important too, right? Because I know a lot of people don't like the bag ordinance with the leaves, right? But if it takes two of our public works guys 8 hours with all the houses we've got now because of all the growth to do that, that's a lot of resources and a lot of cost for that, right? That we're putting in with city employees and city resources that we could be doing something else with. So.
Good.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the hiring of Joshua Woodard as full-time wastewater operator at $35 an hour with 2 weeks of vacation with a start date of January 2nd, 2026, pending background check and drug screen results.
Second.
Wilson?
Yes.
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 All right. Anything else? Public Works from the council? All right. Police report. Obviously not.
Yeah, Joe's in
Joe's
Texas.
gone. Just part-time.
Yeah.
Joe's in Texas.
Nothing to report, he didn't tell me anything to report.
All right. How are things going for you?
Good.
Good.
Joe's in Texas on training. He said he submitted the report and we're looking at it.
Yep. Any questions on the report? All right. Fire and EMS.
So last month we had 30 calls. I'll let Chief talk about that here in a minute. Kind of the highlight of the month was Chief Garner winning the Iowa EMS Association Provider of the Year. So that's a great award.
Congratulations.
So just a quick statement from the from IAMSA. Robin's courage, compassion, and relentless drive has been instrumental in rebuilding and revitalizing Granger Fire and EMS through her leadership, mentorship, and community engagement. She has inspired others to rise to the challenge and serve with excellence. So good job to her. She's done an amazing job, so couldn't do it better. Couple other things. We've had 4 members complete and pass firefighter 1 and hazmat ops, so there are now 4 more certified firefighters within the city of Granger. That's a great thing. Last month we had training. It was respiratory emergencies and air consumption drill. We did this at Artistic Concrete, so thank you to them for allowing us to do that. So really that's all I got, and thank you to Mayor James, current council. Appreciate the support for the department, and then look forward to working with the new mayor and council, so. I think Robin's got things to do.
I'm gonna go over just a little bit more on our call volume. We did have 30 calls. We had one missed call, and that missed call was our second out call. So there was a couple of us responding on a call. We just showed up on scene and the pager went out for another call on the other side of town. So our only missed call this month was because we were on another call. And a little bit more about that, if anybody ever has questions about how we're reporting the data, if you have concerns that maybe it's not what you think it is, I have all the papers, I run reports, this is what we go off. I can tell you who was on every call and what kind of staff we had and what we missed. We did have 16 EMS calls. We had a lot of MVCs, whether it was single car or versus a deer. I think we had a couple of those. It was a very busy month, and especially with fire, we also had 8 fire calls. Higher than usual. We had 20 hours on fire last month and almost 70 hours in fire paid for this month. So Woodward, we helped out over there, and then Chief Rommel went to Polk City for a natural gas one too. So we could have mutual aid. And EMS protocols have been updated for the AEMT level. So myself and another nurse as AEMT can now give pain meds and some other medications, so we'll be ALS providers also. Our staffing increased over the week. We are having 3 to 4 days per week now that are paramedic level, so we'll always have ALS, which is very helpful because we're not counting on Dallas County for their auto aid or Polk City. We're canceling them a lot more than what we have in the past.
What's ALS?
ALS, Advanced Life Support, sorry. So it's above an EMT. A lot of times if the EMT can't handle it, they're waiting for their automatic aid from Polk City or from Dallas County if it's a higher level of care for them to transfer the patient. So hopefully we can keep the patient in our Granger ambulance, transporting more, bringing Granger more, and come back in the long run. And the only other thing I think I have here is that we had breakfast with Santa last weekend and it was a huge success. So thank you for all your support. Oh, the grant. I forgot about the grant. Most important thing, Emily Blair, our public relations coordinator, filed for a grant with the Dallas County Foundation, and we were recipients of a $67,000 grant, $552. We got the check this week, so our life pack has been ordered. It will cover a new life pack 35, which was about $50-some thousand and 2 AEDs. One for Chief Rummel's car, or get me a new one for my car, 280, and hand mine down to one of the other apparatus. So, have a grant.
Good. All right, we've got some actions here that you're requesting.
What was that?
Your actions.
Your actions.
Yeah, so the public relations coordinator, right now that position's getting paid $100 a month. I'm asking for $200. She does more than just public relations. She's doing grant stuff. She's doing a lot of admin stuff. So I'd like to bump her pay.
Good. Questions from the council on that?
We're going from 100 to 300 or 100 to 200?
100, 200.
Oh,
And who was responsible for getting us 60-some thousand?
yeah. I think we're okay with that.
Pretty good investment.
Yeah.
All right, just need a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to increase payment to $200 a month for the public relations coordinator.
Second.
Bangston,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Schreier.
Yes.
The second one, I guess, is probably mine. The medical director gets a stipend. They don't want it. They just want it to go back to the EMS fire budget. So they're willing to work with that. So I think we just said we, like a council motion, motion to approve that and just make sure that any stipend that, you just ask that it stay with the fire and EMS.
Okay. Make a motion that the medical director's compensation is returned back to the fire and EMS budget.
Second.
Bangston,
Yes.
Schreier.
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes.
All right, firehouse subs.
Yeah, so we're gonna be applying for the Firehouse 7 grant. We're gonna try for, cordless extrication equipment, so that's what we're going for with that.
What's the amount?
I think it's about $35,000 for, we already went through this a few months ago. We missed the application deadline. It was full before, it fills up within hours.
Yeah, you gotta do it at midnight.
Yeah, okay.
We're just renewing it, so we can resubmit.
And we don't have to, it looks like we don't have to put any city funds in the budget to match. Okay.
Okay, make a motion to approve submitting the Firehouse 7 grant application and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
Okay, Seth,
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes.
Travis.
Yes.
It's $39,718.
Okay, so I'm almost full. Cool. All right, and the last one?
Action to approve the sale of our old Life Pack 15. Once we get our new one, I would like to sell our old one and take that money and put it back into my budget.
And so we don't need to.
We'll work with Kirk on getting it sold. So we did check with Stryker, who we're getting the Life Pack from. We get a reimbursement, but we figured it'd be better for the city if we sold it, we got it back.
What's it
Got the
cost?
money back. Well, $5,000 from them, so.
So more than 1%, right?
Yeah.
And so everybody knows it's the monitor that sits in the ambulance, so it's in the ambulance, and you take it like for cardiac, and it can shock and do all those things, but it's giving you all the information, and your pulse ox and all the different stuff, so it's a pretty complex piece of equipment, but it isn't something you carry portable. So it wouldn't be a reason to keep.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah. So we don't have two ambulances. Yep.
Not
got
until we have two.
And input on appropriate ways to sell.
Yes, the rule is just the best possible sales price for personal property, so that's usually either by bid or advertised for sale with a minimum set.
So we do a minimum of 5,000.
We do.
We should, so.
Do you want to set a minimum? Or?
We can, I don't know if Stryker's gonna give us 5, but we set it at 5. They typically are pennies on the dollar.
Well, no, Stryker won't, they won't buy it back from us unless we purchase something. So like this transaction, we could have got $5,000 credit, but we'd like to set it back just because it'll go back to our general fund, especially with the grant.
I trust that you're gonna try to get the best, most amount of money out of it, so I don't know.
I don't think any rules on
Just put the motion in and try to get the most money.
Okay, we'll make a motion to approve sale of the Life Pack 15. Asking best bid.
Second.
Okay, Seth,
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes.
Travis.
Yes.
All right. Anything else? Council, anything from the fire?
Thank you, congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome. Great job. All right, Parks and Rec.
I met with Iowa DNR to discuss their survey results from Windcrest Pond. And essentially, the best action you can really take in the future is to treat the algae in the plantway that is invasive and overgrowing the pond. So they gave me some recommendations on companies. So I reached out to 3 local companies for bids for providing yearly treatment of Windcrest Pond for algaecide and herbicide. I found Aquatic Control to be the most thorough and professional. So they're the only ones that actually physically came out to the pond with me and surveyed it. The other 2 just submitted a blind bid and it wasn't even accurate. So the Parks and Rec board voted and they would like to present forward that Aquatic Control has a yearly contract for providing the treatment for Windcrest Pond. But Parks budget itself is not under me, so I believe I need approval from City Council to award that contract to them, and so that the bill itself will be billed to Parks, since ponds are in Parks.
When we talk to Aaron, then he has.
Yeah, I provided for the estimates, yep.
Okay, so he's fine with it.
I'll finish up that conversation with him, but we had looked at, when she did the research, they came and felt the depth of the pond is okay. we had been exploring if we had it cleaned out and had a couple bids, and I think the cheapest was $85,000. Yeah.
That's the only pond conversation I remember, was
Yeah.
$100,000.
Yeah, and after she met with them, you know, if they feel that we can, because we can't dredge that until we get the farm fields that are east of town to at least do some type of water. Yeah, some grass strips and vegetation, so. But from them doing the survey, we need to spend $2,300 rather than $85,000.
Much better number. Is that gonna kill the fish? I don't know anything
No,
about this.
it's not.
Okay.
It'll kill the invasive.
The contract said something about, we're not cleaning up any dead fish, and I was like, oh,
No.
okay.
We're actually getting more catfish stocks as well. But he said there's actually still a pretty healthy population of bluegill and bass. Bluegill and bass.
Fantastic. All right, any questions, discussion from the council? No, I'll make a motion. All right,
Make a motion to approve, let's see, the aquatic control estimate to provide yearly treatment services for Windcrest Pond in the amount of $2,300.
Second.
Teresa?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Sharp?
Yes.
All right, anything else?
Nope, that's it right.
Just got our thing tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Got the event tomorrow, I saw some people putting up that, so remember that if you're in town. It's the holiday event, tree lighting, there's gonna be competition for best, display over there, wins $250.
Ornament making in the library.
Yeah, there's gonna be food here, free will donation food from the American Legion here.
We do have a fire truck, so it's gonna be pretty cool.
What time is that?
4 to 6. You can go through around the GEMA members around town, eBay, Absolute Brew, Janning. Get your, fire station, get your bingo card, same like last year.
Tree lighting at 6:30.
The Grinch will be out and about, I heard, the Grinch is on the loose.
It's gonna be warm out, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, pretty good.
Hot chocolate.
Okay. Yeah. Planning and zoning, so we've got 3 reappointments and a resignation.
Yeah, we never officially
Had Gavin's resignation. Okay. Any questions from the council on these items? Nope. All right, well, we can take motions then.
Make a motion to approve reappointment of Matt Gibson to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a term ending December 31st of 2029.
Second.
Mariah?
Yes.
Danielson?
Oh, come on.
Yes.
Sonic?
Yes.
Make a motion to approve reappointment of Jacob Cotter to the Planning and Zoning Commission for term ending December 31st, 2029.
Second.
Yes.
Sonic?
Yes.
Yes.
Action to approve reappointment of Grant Hayward to the Planning and Zoning Commission for term ending December 31st, 2028.
I'm letting you have the last one.
Second.
There you go.
Yes.
There's one more, so you can do that.
Yes.
Sonic?
Yes.
Action to approve resignation of Gavin Scroggin from the Planning and Zoning Commission effective October 1st, 2025.
Second.
Sharp?
Yes.
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
All right, finance committee report.
All right, Jared and I met prior to tonight's meeting, we reviewed invoices, purchase orders, claims list, bond payment information, delinquent list, bank statement reconciliation, balance sheet, outstanding checks, bank statements, voided checks, journal entries, budget reports, and timesheets. With no questions and nothing additional to the report.
Make a motion to approve finance committee report.
Second.
Sonic?
Yes.
Danielson?
Yes.
Sharp?
Yes.
Make a motion to approve those in favor.
Second.
Sonic?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Sharp?
Yes.
All right, workshop meeting dates and times. So have you talked with these guys at all, or do we kind of know the routine? So I think historically, before the January meeting, you try to take presentations from the departments at 5:30, right, or 5 o'clock. What do you?
We made a decision to not overwhelm them and
Okay.
to change a different day on there.
Okay.
So I did put down, the next Wednesday, the 21st,
Okay.
5:36, probably starting around that time.
6.
Uh,
5:30.
What time works for anyone here, I guess?
Yeah.
Till March 15th, I can do whatever.
You can do it. Well, what I bolded on the sheet,
bum.
These guys have that sheet.
yeah,
And the whole reason is we're under a fairly stringent timeline by the state to get this done and in, and it takes us a while to compile and get the information from the departments and then from the state so we can estimate, so we kind of need to stay on it.
I didn't want to wait till
So for number
January
2
14th to
there-
talk about it.
Number 2 there, we just, with Bob's stuff, needed to set a special meeting for the 28th of
Yes.
January.
So I put January 21 as the presentations, the 28th as the workshop,
Okay,
because I figure
we'll just say
Continue.
say 6 PM then. Is that what you want me to do?
the 21st,
Or say it was 7 PM on the 28th, right?
yeah.
The council meeting is 7, the notice is set up for 7 PM on the 28th.
Okay, so that one's gonna be 7. Okay, so 21st at 6, 28th at 7.
And then we discussed the proposed tax levy rate. When I take all those numbers from what we decide on the workshop, I pull it into the certification page of the budget to get our tax levy rate. I usually typically can do it on the same night as our regular meeting in February. We just try to have it right before to talk about it, just to discuss. So it could be 5:36. I think 6 is probably fine as long as we kind of keep in contact and know where we're at with our levy rate. But I typically do it the same night as the meeting.
So that's 3 meetings for them next month.
Well, there's, well, 3 in January, yes.
I warned you last night, Dan.
3 weeks in a row.
It would have been maybe 2, but I didn't want to overwhelm him in the first night or.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
long,
it
that'd be a
just
long
does
5
not
or
make
6
sense
hour
to
night.
me. And then we have to have a separate public hearing on the proposed tax levy rate. It has to be separate, it has to be the only thing on the agenda. And I picked April 1st on that. Again, it could be 6 or 7, I don't care, it's the only thing that's on the agenda. We would already know by talking February 11th what we're gonna be approving, so I'm gonna let you guys decide on that time.
What do we think, 6 or 7, doesn't matter? Is 7 better?
Sure.
Okay.
April 1st, 7 PM. Okay?
All of our April Fool's jokes we have are system.
Oh, yeah. And then we have to have our budget hearing and budget adoption, and I typically do it the week before it's due to the state. So I chose again on Wednesday, April 22nd, again, 6 or 7. If you want to stick with 7, I'm fine with that. The only time I choose 5:30 or 6 is because when we have the presentations, it takes a long time, and if you start at 7, it could be until, and I'm sure you're gonna have a lot of questions, so.
Start
I'm okay with 7 on the budget, if you're
Okay.
fine with that.
What night was that?
April 22nd.
Yeah,
April 22nd, 7.
and that gives my deadline with the budget to the state on the 30th, so I always have to backtrack from when it's due to, this thing's gotta be published in the paper, all kinds of requirements, so.
Do we need a motion on this, or is this just?
I just like to put my names in there so that everyone's prepared.
Okay, so here's what I got. January 21st, 6 PM. January 28th, 7 PM. February 11th, 6 PM before the meeting. April 1st, 7 PM. April 22nd, 7 PM.
If that works for everybody?
Well, since this is not a motion, if it doesn't work, then we guys can figure it out.
Right.
Okay, good. Anything else on that one, Christie?
No?
Okay, I do not have a mayor report. Correspondence?
Before you adjourn, we want to thank you. I know you didn't want us to do this, but I want to thank you for your service. We've made a lot of progress during your tenure, and much appreciated.
Yeah, proud of what the team did.
Thank you, Tony.
Yeah, thank you. All right, good. Adjourn. Ben, how many things do you have to sign? Urbandale by 9 o'clock?
Yes.